big names out, it was their time to shine.
Yes, Jess. He was in P2 when he crashed out. How upsetting.
I know. Is Norris even driving for a championship anymore?
Welcome back to Drive Like a Girl, episode 16.
We have a live audience tonight.
Yes.
We have Paige in the room.
In the building.
Do you want to say hi, Paige?
Hi.
Hey.
So if we're more nervous than usual,
it's because someone is listening.
Yeah. And Paige watched the race with me and actually definitely watched more of it than me. So I fell asleep, sorry. I was really tired.
It's okay, we don't judge. We don't judge here.
But shocking that I did, because what a race.
It was
a weekend.
Yeah, it was a busy weekend, sprint weekend.
Yeah.
Was fun. We had practice 1, sprint qualifying, the sprint, the qualifying, and then the race.
Woo!
So it's a lot to unpack on this episode, but I'm very excited. I've got a lot to say.
You've got a lot. Good. Yay. That's what we're here for. And also, if you watched last week's episode, Jess has also got a really interesting segment that we're going to do afterwards.
I do.
What are you going to do, Jess?
So I am doing a history part on Christian Horner, everyone.
Woo! Our favourite
person in Formula 1.
No, really, I'm actually really intrigued, because obviously he's got a
it's a lot.
career.
It actually is a lot of information, so I'm going to try and make it as quick as I can.
Yeah, I'm excited. But first, to follow on the race, we haven't done a catch up in a while, because I feel like we filmed these in pretty quick succession.
Yeah.
But how have you been?
Fine.
Yeah.
Nothing really. My finger's healing, kind of.
Oh my
when
God,
my nail came off. A new nail starting to grow back, a bit gross. It's just so ugly.
Let's see it
It's
again.
not the aesthetic I want.
It looks like... No, I'm not going to say what it looks like.
Yeah, because it's ugly. Just admit it. It is.
It looks like, I think, a creature in a film I've seen.
Yeah, great.
Like a worm.
It does look like a worm. Honestly, fingers without nails are ugly. Don't do it.
Don't do it. Wouldn't recommend.
What have you been doing?
Not much. Well, this weekend was my boyfriend's birthday.
Ooh.
So we went axe throwing. I've never been axe throwing before, and that was very fun. Highly recommend. I'm actually really good.
Wait, really?
Should I insert a video of me doing some axe throwing?
Insert.
Because they gave us like big axes and then like little axe knives things, and when I was like practicing, I was really good with the knives, but then when it came to actually doing the games and things, I was rubbish with the knives but good with the axe.
Okay.
Yeah, I felt like...
Is this going to be your new hobby?
I hope so. It was like, I felt like really like an action hero, like especially with the knives. I was like...
That's quite sick, actually.
It was sick. We should go. We should go. It was so fun.
I'd be too scared. I
started off really scared. I did start off like every time I like threw it, I immediately like ran away because I was scared it was going to come back. But that actually made it worse because obviously you've got like less control. So it's because as soon as I like hesitated and just let it go, it like made it like... So as soon as I like became more confident and didn't run away.
Was there someman there?
Yeah, so there was a guy there the whole time, yeah.
Right. So you're not just like left
alone
to kill each other.
Yeah.
It sounds fun.
It was good. We should do it.
Okay, put it on the bucket list before I leave.
I'm
moving out.
Oh my God. No, this is sad.
It's really sad.
This is actually really sad to update the podcast community.
Yeah, our small little community. Well, we are going to have a few episodes probably on over Zoom now, but we'll do
you
like
won't be
episodes.
far, so we'll still do
I'm
some
literally
person.
half an hour bus ride.
This is exciting. Big news, exciting news.
Yeah.
You might not see this room again.
Oh, that's sad. Yeah, goodbye. It served me well. I've only been in this flat over a year.
Yeah.
A year and
2 months.
6 months.
6 months.
No, 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Because I moved in September.
Yeah.
But it feels like, in a good way, that I've been here a long time.
Yeah.
Like, it does feel like very
part of the
comfortable.
furniture.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway, let's crack on to the race weekend.
Woo!
So I made an impressive TikTok about Lewis
really
Hamilton's driving the McLaren, Senna's iconic McLaren car from the 90s. So that was when
So cute.
he obviously won the Brazilian Grand Prix back in the day in that car, and Hamilton got to drive it, and it was a very emotional thing. And I had a quote from Lewis, and he said, "I never in a million years thought I'd get to drive Senna's car here. When my manager told me about it, I jumped at the opportunity." So yeah, and then he also said, "I used to be really good at hill and towing when I was younger, and when I drove the MP4/4, I was able to do it back then. It's something I miss. I wish they had that in Formula One. The
What's that? What's
two-pedal
hill and
thing
towing?
is just not exciting. They had to bring back the H box. It was awesome. I think it's due with the pedals, clutch maybe, or like so it's obviously the cars have evolved a lot since then. So he just wants to bring back some classic stuff that he has realised he misses. So yeah, I thought that was really cute.
That's really cute. I also saw that, Senna merch outsells anyone else's merch in Brazil.
Really?
Obviously. Like, yeah, he's still like the biggest, and there was so much like Senna merch, so you could see in the audiences. When like you can often see like, a sea of orange, and that might be McLaren. There was like so much Senna merch that you could see. And it was really cute.
That is sweet. But yeah, so that was just a little something to mention that happened. When did he do that? Did he do that before qualifying? Or did he do that? What day did he do that over the weekend?
I think it was before
Sunday,
qualifying.
Yeah.
Or was it in between
after,
qualifying and the real race?
I think it was after, yeah, because they started qualifying so late. Because obviously the
postponed
conditions, so it was postponed to Sunday.
I know, dramatic.
But George Russell said he would prefer it if the qualifying and race was on the same day.
It did add for some really interesting drama, because poor Alex fucking crashed out and then couldn't get fixed in time. Of them. I know.
But so many, but we will get into that. But yeah, Oliver Behrman replaced Kevin Magnussen. He was not well. And also on Thursday, before the weekend kind of kicked off with all the driving, all the drivers went over to the track and met Sebastian Vettel.
My favourite. I love him.
He's very, very cute. And they had a sculpture of Senna's helmet that was made out of recycled material from Brazil.
So
and I thought that was so cool.
And I love the video. I think someone posted it on TikTok, and it was just like, just a mother duck followed by her ducklings. And it was like,
I saw like the family, everyone was saying it's like a family photo.
Yeah, and they were all just in the helmet, like,
yeah.
It's so cute. And Seb's just like, come on, look at this thing.
So cute. But Max had a two-place penalty for the engine change.
I thought it was a 5-place grid penalty.
What did I say?
2-place.
I meant 5-place. I don't know why I said 2-place.
5-place.
Yeah, it's 5-place. Yeah. But they obviously did that on purpose, right?
What, change the engine?
Yeah, to then give him more of an advantage.
Well,
but they just made it a risk of doing a five-place penalty.
Change. So they didn't have to change the engine back or anything. Like, they only got the 5-place grid penalty. They still got to keep the engine.
I didn't look into it that much. So it was a sprint qualifying. That was quite dry conditions. Piastri beat Norris for pole by 200ths of a second. 200ths. So that was good. And then we had the sprint race results. So that was 24 laps. Have we explained about a sprint?
We have. In our back to basics, I think we did explain a little bit about a sprint race. So go back to that. But if you want a bit more, maybe we could do that again.
Yeah. Could do it again. But yeah, that was only 24 laps. McLaren, we are seeing over this weekend, are telling Piastri to swap with Norris.
Yeah.
A lot.
I guess at this point in the race, it is getting a bit like touch and go, and obviously Norris is fighting for the Drivers' Championship. So at this point, I mean, Oscar must see that, if he was in the same position, he'd probably want the same
Yeah.
But it is a bit peak. That is just
it is
going to be peak,
yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah, of course. But then, is Norris even driving for a championship anymore? No, not after this weekend. No
who
way.
knew that we would be saying this after this weekend?
I know.
We all thought it would be completely the opposite.
I know. It was a close race between Charles and Max. Leclerc held the position. There was a little Sergio and Liam battle, which we have again seen a lot over the weekend. Yeah, Hulkenberg had to stop the car on the side of the track, causing a yellow flag and a virtual safety car. But McLaren, just before the flag, gave the position back to Norris, which was close but a good call. So that worked out well for them in that case. So yeah, and I also put here, Max got a 5-second penalty after being above the minimum time at the virtual safety car end, and 1 penalty point on his licence. So
what does that mean? So this is after the sprint race. Max got a 5-second penalty above the minimum time.
For being above the minimum time of the virtual safety car. So how fast
going too fast? Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. So
naughty.
So the sprint race. How many points did I should have done that actually? What points that gave each driver extra? Because Hulkenberg DNF, Stroll last. Again, I mean, it kind of was giving the sprint race results, like the weekend at this point was giving what we kind of are expecting.
Yeah.
But obviously things changed a lot.
Things grew more dramatic.
Qualifying was then on the Sunday because Saturday the weather conditions were too bad. But obviously the conditions still were wet. So the qualifying results, we had 5 red flags, which is the most since the 2006 Brazilian Grand Prix.
I thought the qualifying was so fun to watch.
It was very good qualifying. Like the best qualifying I think we've had.
It was insane. And knowing that they only had 3 hours between qualifying and the race to fix it.
I know.
I really thought, I mean, again, Paige, we thought that Williams would give Alex the second car.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah, I was convinced.
Really?
Alex was in like P5.
Yeah. No, I know. I don't know why they didn't. It's weird. It is strange. It is strange.
Why didn't they do that?
I don't know.
Because if they'd given him his car, Alex would have been in whatever he was, P5. I mean, he was in P2 when he crashed out. How upsetting.
I know.
But
that because all of these drivers were crashing out, it just made for such a good time for other drivers who don't get that kind of recognition to actually
get up top.
And it was so good to watch. But I had a little breakdown here. So Franco went into the barriers in Q1, which was the first red flag. Hamilton again was not happy he came out in Q1. He blames the car, but it kind of is obviously the weather as well, surely.
Wet.
Yeah, very wet.
Really
wet. In Q2, Sainz went into the barrier, which caused a yellow flag and then a red flag. So this yellow flag, this caused a lot of issues. So it took 40 seconds for them to make it a red flag. And unfortunately, Max was in that zone when it came out, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, no, sorry, it was Lance Stroll who crashed, who caused so Sainz crashed, then Stroll, but it took 40 seconds for that yellow flag to turn into a red flag, which I don't really understand how that then affected Max.
So unlucky timing with the yellow flag. Max was caught by a yellow flag in Q2 when Lance Stroll crashed, shortly followed by a red flag. This yellow flag zone forced Verstappen to slow down just as he was trying to improve his time, which contributed to his early exit from the qualifying. As a result, he couldn't set a competitive time before Q2. So it basically, so literally he was going to, and the way that the qualifying works is this, whatever your fastest lap is your counts towards what your fastest lap is for your position. And he was just about to improve his time and just about to do faster, and then the yellow car, the safety car, was called, so then he had to slow down immediately. Yeah. I guess that's what that means.
It wasn't great. And both Aston Martins then were crash. Alex Albon was doing well, but then in Q3, like we said, crashed, causing a red flag.
I was so upset.
Both Williams were then out. and they have 3 hours just to fix, but unfortunately it was just too much to fix Alex's car.
You could tell there and then it was a big crash.
I said also here that they think he just pushed a bit too hard. He said he thought the brakes failed, but they said that it didn't. It was obviously just a driver mistake. So yeah. So move on to Yuki. Yuki dealt with the conditions very well.
Very well. Really proud of you.
Finished the best this season so far for his career.
Achieved a career best qualifying position. And
yeah.
So did Ocon, I think.
Did he?
Yeah.
Very, very good. But I also put Liam was amazing in these conditions as well. And
amazing.
RB were just doing great in the wet. And Esteban Ocon got lucky. And also at the top of the grid and his best qualifying finish this season. With big names out, it was their time to shine.
Yes, Jess.
But it was, and one thing that Ocon said was, it's not, if we were all given the same car, this is how it would be every race. Yeah. And I loved that.
Oh.
So yeah, it was a very difficult track. No grip for many drivers. As I said, 5 red flags.
Really
the most
dangerous.
They've had in a while in Brazil. So it was insane. But we now have, for the race, Norris in P1, Russell P2, Tsunoda P3. Insane for Tsunoda. Come on, Yuki.
Come on, Yuki.
Woo! Ocon P4. Liam Lawson, Charles Leclerc, Alex Albon, Oscar Piastri, Fernando Alonso, Lance Stroll, Valtteri Bottas, Max Verstappen P12. Oh, but then he was also pushed all the way down to P7. Sergio Perez, Carlos Sainz, Pierre Gasly, Lewis Hamilton, Oliver Behrman, Franco Colapinto, Nico Hülkenberg, and of course Joe last.
You know what? I think we're saying his name wrong.
Joe.
No, Colapinto.
Franco Colapinto.
I think it's Colapinto.
Colapinto.
Yeah.
Colapinto.
I don't know, but I've Dom called me up on it.
Okay. We probably are saying it wrong then. Colapinto, not Calapinto. It's fucking British accent, honestly, so annoying. Right, so yes, those were the results, and we're ready for the race, which was 69 laps. And Sky Sports, you made a mistake because you put 70 laps and it wasn't. Someone must have called them out, and then they were like, sorry about that graphic, it is in fact 69 laps, not 70. And I was like,
oh, how embarrassing.
You have the race recap. Let's go.
Let's go. Okay.
How fun was it?
It was very fun.
Couldn't see a bloody thing. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, it must have been crazy. I mean, because we obviously got the driver's perspective, but just all the what's it called? Mist, spray, water, just
on the track,
everywhere,
coming from the tyres.
Very dangerous. Kind of surprised at points it wasn't called off, because at points you just saw Lando and Russell's cars absolutely with water.
Couldn't see him.
Insane. But anyway, so this race was action packed with weather conditions, red flags, yellow flags, everything you want. So let's get into it.
Spray, yellow, red, yellow,
and then a black.
Oh yeah.
Oh. So started off very dramatic from the off. They immediately went, and I think George Russell got the front ahead of Lando, because as we know, Lando's not great.
Can't do it, Lando.
Kicking off from pole, he needs a boot camp. But then Lance Stroll almost immediately spun out, which caused this drama of what's it called? The abandoned start.
But this was before the race had started.
This was the formation lap.
So let's recap.
Sorry, yeah, gosh, oh my god, I'm getting confused.
The formation lap.
Yeah, immediately.
How the hell? I'm sorry. So he spun round, and he could have saved it because it's obviously just the formation lap.
Mm-hmm.
But then he went on to the
Gravel.
and in wet conditions, you can't move.
You can't get out of that.
You can't get out. So
I
they had to
know.
retire the car. How the hell?
And he was just stood there for ages, and I just thought that was just really, really awkward looking. Because he was just stood there
He's
like this.
getting so much hate, but like it's kind of... Look, I feel bad for him because obviously he gets hate anyway because of how he got into Formula 1 and why he's got this seat. Look, is he a good driver or is he just a nepo baby, right?
Yeah.
This is just not
Put
helping
that
his
aside.
case.
Any excuse to bring it up,
this
but
is
put
not,
that aside.
It's not helping his case, and it's
No.
making him get even more hate.
I don't think he could have helped this situation very much. It was where? Like, yeah, it's embarrassing and awkward, but like,
No,
it could have been anybody else.
This going then onto the gravel.
Yeah,
I think
embarrassing.
that was just like, because he was going to go back on, like,
Yeah.
those things can happen to anyone.
Yeah.
Kind of, I don't know. But anyway, that was kind of funny. It slowed it down and it made it a bit confusing because
then it started this abandoned start, and this is when they had all the penalties or like confusion because they all came back, and then Lando Norris, George Russell, Yuki, Ocon all go. But then half of the cars all stayed behind and didn't move, and they stayed on the grid, and everyone was like, what's going on? Why are half the cars staying there and not moving, and why have these guys gone? And Max is like, what are they doing? They have to wait for the green light. Like, we need to wait for the green light. And then Horner comes down the mic and he's like, yeah, loads of things have been broken, loads of rules have been broken, we're looking into it. And then the green light eventually goes, then the rest of the cars go. But like, they've gone in two halves, and this was all really confusing because the front half that already went when they weren't supposed to go are going to get back way before the second half, and their tyres are going to start cooling down, and then it's all going to be fucked. But anyway, so then the back lot waited, and what it turns out was Lando and George have got penalties, but Yuki and Ocon and stuff didn't get a penalty because it was like decided that they were just following the front runners. But Lando and George shouldn't have gone when they did. They broke the rules.
Wasn't they just got fined?
Yeah, they got fined. I can't remember how much.
It wasn't a lot, I don't think.
Bit silly, really. But also, that was a really complicated and confusing situation that doesn't happen a lot. And even the commentators were literally
very unsure.
Looking let's look through the rule books, what's going on.
Yeah.
So and also people were arguing well, should Lando have known yes or no? Like, is it the pit wall's job to tell him what to do, go now or not go now? So then there was all that. So that happened.
And then it was a new term for rolling start. I'd never heard of that before.
Yeah, I'd never heard of that before.
So yeah,
lots of new terms.
Yeah, lots of new terms, but that was just when they just did the first lap with the virtual safety car.
Yeah. So the race hasn't even started yet, and here we are.
We've already had all that. Yeah, it's a lot.
But now back to the race starting. This is when Lando goes in front, George takes over. Blah blah blah. Then we got Sergio Perez spins out, manages to recover. Verstappen went from P12 to 8 by lap 8, quickly setting the fastest lap despite his grid penalties. So you know what, we're seeing Max
dominating.
But this is not a surprise. He's very good in the wet. Everybody thought he would build up. Not everybody thought
not as far as he did.
Not as far as he did, but everyone thought this was going to happen. So Oliver Burman then received a 10-second penalty for causing a collision with Franco. Ollie was like, why did I get that penalty? Bit harsh, seeing as Franco didn't have any time affected. Questionable, but he got that. And then the rain got harder around lap 14, which made visibility just practically impossible. And that's when we were getting all these sky views. But even then, I thought when we were having the overhead camera, there was just sometimes I didn't see the car coming, and it just would appear
it appeared out of nowhere.
Everything.
But Carlos started in the pits as well. He was the only one starting in the pits. Mm-hmm. I thought more would have
from after the qualifying situation.
Because it was so many crashes in the qualifying, and they had so many situations where they had to try and fix the cars. in a short space of time.
Yeah.
It's just like, I'm surprised only Carlos was in the pits. At this point, Yuki and Ocon were really keeping their positions. Like, I didn't have much faith. I'm not going to lie. Like, when I saw the qualifying results, I was like, wow, this is so great for them. And, you know, after Yuki was celebrating his P3, it was really, really great to see. Very happy. But I just did not think the Alpine and the RB would be able to keep their positions for that long. So I think Yuki did so well, even though he didn't finish in the top 3, probably as much as he wanted. I think he done so well to keep it for as long as he did in those conditions as well. And it just shows you like who can just work
that skill
a little bit. Yeah. And the cars, how the Alpine's car, they were saying it wasn't even driving that well, but it just manages to drive well in wet conditions. And
it's kind of like in that, I guess, pressure environment, who can pull through, and like who falls under that pressure.
And I think we can
see now Hamilton is not happy with the car again.
What a shocker.
It's like we're either saying Max isn't happy with the car or Hamilton's not happy with the car.
Yeah I know. Like we said ages ago, he's checked out Lewis 100%. I mean, he said driving that McLaren car, the Senna's car, was just way better than driving the Mercedes car.
He's like, get me in this old car before I get back in that Mercedes.
Yeah, I think he was just trying to make a point of like, even this old ass car is better than the Mercedes right now. What is that showing? It's kind of a bit embarrassing for Mercedes.
Very.
So yeah.
But I think Piastri was also struggling and was also having a bit of a hard
Piastri
time.
did not qualify well, and it just did not help.
No. So Max easily overtook him. Lewis went off. Then Franco overtook him as well.
Yeah.
So buzz for him. Buzz for our little Franco. Oh my God, have you been seeing all the edits on TikTok of like Franco just like so starstruck by Lewis?
Yes, yeah.
And it really
and then you look
so
at them on the
cute.
race and it's like all of that just goes out the window.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like as soon as Lewis is off, he's like, F you, I'm going for this. But his overtake was really good.
Yeah.
And he is the crowd's favourite. Everyone was screaming
Franco.
for him. Yeah. And he
underdog.
seems like he's a lot of people are warming to him really well, and they really like him so far. But his granddad died.
Oh no, I didn't know that. This weekend.
His granddad died over the weekend, and he came into the paddock on Thursday. And he still had to carry on. It didn't end well for Franco Colapinto. He did DNF.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah, we're gonna get there. Okay. God, my goodness. So where are we? Drivers were really struggling to get DRS enabled because of the bad weather.
Yeah, they didn't have DRS enabled once in that race. So again, it's like who can
perform well under these kind of conditions.
It's so hard.
It's so hard. But our Haas boys, I mean, again, didn't end well, but had some positive moments, overtaking Lewis in that Mercedes. And the Ferraris also had a really not great weekend.
Yeah.
The Ferraris were not prepped and prepared for this kind of conditions, I didn't think.
Not good. It's like, has the streak gone already?
Yeah.
Maybe. Ooh. Because they have it. It's so up and down. And I know it's so hard to predict Formula One. Like, this weekend has just proven how it's so unpredictable, which is amazing. But yeah, it's sad to see already that kind of Ferraris did not have come from having such an amazing weekend to
two weekends.
Yeah,
such amazing 2 weekends.
To this is not good.
We'll put it all down to the rain.
Yeah, this I had down here because Max, again, like for some reason, again, he was saying, even though he was
speeding
up
through
and up that grid, right? He still was like, they're not giving me enough room. And I just, like, Max, come on, you're literally flying, and you know you're flying, and he's still managing to be like, they're not giving me enough room. But he says that every single time, no?
Yeah.
He says that every single time.
Well, I think it's been recently with this whole like Max versus Lando gate on like the pushing off situation has been a big drama. So I think that's why that's been of recent times.
Yeah.
So then we've got some strategy mishaps here from two of the big teams. So McLaren and Mercedes are obviously leading with George and Lando, but then they both pit. But this strategy backfired on them because while they were in the pits, Ocon was able to steam forward into P1.
Yes, which is
incredible.
Insane. Alpine P1.
I know.
Who would have thought?
I know.
Who would have thought? But they were saying it was a strategy error, and that they should have stayed out because it's inevitable that a red flag is going to happen
in those conditions.
Yeah. But then again, Bernie Collins, who she's just does commentating, but she was the head of strategy for Aston Martin, and she was saying her opinion was that staying on those old tyres was just too much of a risk. But even though people like Max and the Alpines did it, she thinks they did do the right thing of pitting at that point. But this is the thing, you're never going to know what's right or wrong because...
And again, I think back to when we went to the exhibition and they say they think through about 100,000 strategies for any one race.
Yeah.
They still get it wrong.
They still get it wrong. I know.
They still get it wrong.
I mean, you could say they did the right thing, but it didn't end well for George and Lando.
So did they do the right thing?
I personally don't think so, no. George wasn't happy at all. But yeah, at that point, the conditions were just really bad as well. Had a lot of yellow flags and virtual safety cars.
A lot of stuff going on. So they could have waited, basically. Yeah. They could have held out a little bit. Maybe. Who knows? We're not in the pit wall. We're not under that kind of pressure.
We're not there.
Piastri got a 10-second penalty for colliding with Liam Lawson, which caused Lawson to spin out. So again, another little touch.
And then there was another safety car, but Alpine was still in P1 and P3 at this point.
If there's any big fans of the Drive Like a Girl podcast out there, I want to see a compilation. Maybe we should make it a compilation of every time in a podcast we've said Alpine who.
Yeah, literally.
What are they doing?
And they've just come out of nowhere.
I know, and done so well. But then drama strikes again. Red flag. Lap 32, so saw Colapinto crash with liquid leaking onto the track. So this delay allowed teams to completely reset, so they all come back into the pit. The drivers all get out their cars. Big drama. At this point, I thought this was very, very dramatic with the commentators, but Hülkenberg, we find out, has been disqualified.
Yeah.
And when this was announced,
I was very confused. They were like, he doesn't even know he's been disqualified. I didn't even know he was disqualified.
Yeah. Someone explained to me what's going on. And the commentator was literally like, oh, this is so awkward. Like, Hülkenberg is sat right in front of me, in front of the Aston Martin pit, and he's sat there cool as a cucumber, no idea that he's just been disqualified. Is someone going to tell him? And then the other commentator was like, oh, you need to tell him. And he's like, I'm not going to tell him, that's so awkward. And like, it was so weird getting this like real life, just like behind the scenes commentary that they were literally like, no, I can see him right now, he's sat right there, this is so awkward, he's got no idea. And then they were like commentating on the different engineers like facial expressions as they found out and heard. Yeah. And I was like, no. That is the tea I want to get every time.
Why was he disqualified?
So he was disqualified because, saw a little clip, he went off track, and it says an infraction. Basically, 4 of the I can't remember what they're called. The
health and safety people.
Yeah, health and safety people. Came on track. Nico couldn't move, so these 4 guys lifted up his front wing or something, gave him a little nudgy push, and then he was fine and off with it. And they were like, you can't
do that. Why did he allow them to do that then?
Yeah,
maybe it was they were just being nice.
That's what I thought.
Made the guy disqualified.
Surely that's not his fault. Because they were literally, they were like,
things, but a lot of things the FIA do and punish drivers and teams for, sometimes you could say is not their fault, but they just have to follow the rule book. People are saying that FIA this weekend have had a mad one.
Well, they've had a busy weekend.
They've had a busy weekend. I mean, people were saying they changed their flights to Monday instead of Sunday.
I heard that one, yeah.
So they knew it was going to be a tougher weekend.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
But I did think that was something they have really to weird.
Do. I know. There's so many rules and regulations to it. It's so confusing. It was a terrible weekend for Williams, to be honest. And Haas. Oliver Behrman he was trying hard, but again,
bless,
was rolling off the track. And lap 36 went into the barriers. But then it was only a little bit, so he managed to rejoin. But was at the bottom of the grid. One of the commentators said he's having a bit of a hassle, which I thought was quite funny.
Bless. Verstappen really won off of that.
I think with Haas, it was like with Oliver specifically, they made a good point, was because he kept kind of spinning off and coming back again. It was like hot tyres, then cold, then hot, and his tyre temperature, you just couldn't keep it kind of straight and on the right track. Lol, pun. So
couldn't keep it consistent.
Yeah, so the tyre temperature then probably made his grip really dodgy. So yeah, it just wasn't looking good for Haas this weekend either. A lot of teams struggled this weekend. A lot of teams.
But Max really capitalised off of that restart, because he then immediately took the
was
lead.
A long wait, this red flag, when they're all in the pits as soon as they started. Max did overtake Ocon, which, I mean, that was inevitable. Everyone, come on, that I knew that was going to happen. I didn't want it to. I didn't even think I was an Alpine fan, but apparently I am now.
I am now. Massive Alpine fan after that weekend.
Yeah. I was screaming. I was like, please, no, don't overtake Ocon. But you just know it's coming. Of course it is. It was no shock to Ocon either. But Max said Ocon did hold it very well and was a good race for Max. So, yeah, I think it was good either way. They got further than what they even dreamt of this season. Yeah, so I think it's a really good. P2 is just fantastic.
Yeah. Lando had a little lock-up. And then Sainz went off.
Yeah.
And then drama for Sainz, and he DNF'd.
Yeah. So who overall, as we're coming to the end, who did DNF? So,
a bunch of them.
Nico Hülkenberg was disqualified. Lance Stroll DNF'd in the formation lap. Alex Albon didn't even race.
Yeah.
Franco Colapinto DNF'd and Ferrari DNF'd. But a lot of other drivers, as we saw, spun off, causing yellow flags. But technically there was only one major incident with Franco and just a slight one with Carlos. So I thought there would be more red flags.
Yeah,
after what qualifying did in the morning, I really thought, wow, is this going to be like the same?
Yeah. The drama.
So in a way, safety-wise for the drivers, it's good that there was only one.
Lando was right down in P7.
Yeah, not good.
But Piastri was told to swap positions again.
So that's another reason. I mean, Lando's getting a lot of hate at the minute, I'm seeing, ever since the race yesterday. I don't think it's fair, because obviously Lando said in his post-race interview, kind of Max won because of luck. It's all just to do with luck, and everyone's kind of disagreeing with him, and that it's not.
Well, I don't think it is necessarily luck, because it's not just lucky.
No, it's not just lucky, but I think, look, he didn't do. It wasn't a good race for Lando. We know this, and we now know, kind of, this has just confirmed that Max will win the Drivers' Championship. Okay, that's got to hurt for Lando, because he obviously thought he was could potentially. It was going to be hard, but he was. People saying he could have done it. Yeah, and now obviously after a terrible race, it started off good this weekend for Lando.
Yeah, so at the beginning of this weekend,
terrible for him.
Yeah, at the beginning of this weekend, we were looking at the points, and I was going, right, so there's like 40 points between them. If Lando wins this one and Max doesn't get into the points,
Yeah, because that was how it
he's
was
getting
looking.
halfway there.
That was how it was looking. But Max just dominated the track. I mean, how the hell? I mean, percentage-wise, wasn't it like a really rare thing that he had done? Like, I think only 5
No
other
one
drivers in the
ever,
whole
yeah.
of Formula One, since it was created, has done that many.
Yeah.
Has
Like
gone up
moves
that many
yeah,
up
yeah.
the grid.
Insane. Jinx.
Yeah. But and Lando just unfortunately is just not that good of a driver just yet. I think he can be, and I think he's done so well this season so far. I think he's really done well. You know, this was his first proper chance at the championship. I think we just got to hope for next year.
Let's hope nothing too major happens to the car. I know we have to move on, and I'm really excited for the Christian Horner section, but I just think we need to give Alpine their moment.
Oh, of course.
Because, oh my God.
Why did I cry?
I was so emotional.
Did you cry? Because I was really
kid
emotional.
You not.
Why did I cry?
I was on the bus watching this.
I think it was just like...
when they came together.
They hugged.
I know.
The guys hugged. They have some beef. Everyone knows they have drama together. They don't get on. And all they needed was just the win. And
just smiling at each other the whole time.
And
I was
Ocon's face when he got on the podium,
I know,
was so cute.
And when they did their post-race interview, and they were just like holding each other.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what?
Crazy.
Last season in Drive to Survive, there was a whole episode about how these two hate each other.
Yeah.
I hope we get a whole episode just on this race.
Yeah.
And just on like Alpine's success. Because that was amazing. And that is like honestly what this is like all about.
So obviously they're both French, so they grew up racing together, and they would do the wet conditions and they would be driving in snow, and that's how they've managed to drive so well in those horrible conditions, because they would be the only ones who would come when they were karting to drive in those conditions. So yeah, they said that's probably why they drove so well.
Yeah.
And Max, obviously, we know drives well anyway, like we said, in wet conditions. And it was nice to see Max happy for once. And he done the press conference. It was hilarious.
Yeah, he was like, where
sassy,
are all the British
but where
press?
were the British press?
They were like, not a British driver on the podium.
Yeah, but that's rubbish from them.
It is rubbish,
that's
but
really,
it's
really rubbish from them. I don't like that. That really annoyed me, to be honest, when he said that. I was like, they're just putting a bad name on us Brits. Honestly, we're not all like this, Max.
The British press, categorically, some of the renowned, not good.
So, Christian Horner, here we go. Here's my history episode. Sorry if this is all over the place. I tried to get as much info as I could, and I'm reading from my notes because it was a lot of information. But, so, Christian Horner was born on the 16th of November in 1973 in England, and he is 50 years old.
Whoa.
So, he is obviously the team principal of Red Bull Racing and is a huge name in Formula One. His estimated net worth is 40 million, and estimated salary a year being around 8 million, technically making him the highest paid F1 team principal.
Is he?
If his salary, if that 8 million, if that's correct, then yes.
Dang.
I did listen to parts of his, he was on the Diary of a CEO podcast, and he calls himself a competitive person and enjoys working in a team of people, and the thing that drives him is winning. And yeah, we do see that, as we all know.
Yeah.
Shock. Yeah, what a shock. I didn't know that about you, Christian. But early life for Christian, so he was a middle child, and growing up he said...
That tells me everything I need to know.
Yeah. I knew you were going to say that. I knew someone would say that. He does give middle energy, but anyway.
Sorry to my brother.
But he said growing up he was never really academic. He just saw school as kind of a social aspect, but he knew he loved sports. But he did dream of being a stuntman for just a while. Yeah, but he
How tall is he?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, he was a little kid at this point, so he probably didn't know he'd grow up to be short. But he still had a love for fast cars and engines. And he begged his mum to buy him a go-kart, but she said no. So he tried to save up enough pocket money, and he managed to buy a second-hand 20-year-old kart. It was too low. He tried to race it round the farm and on grass, but it's way too low. So they found a track, and that is when he truly realised that driving a car and being a racing driver is something he would want to pursue. I think it obviously helped because his family, of course, were in the motor manufacturing industry. So Horner's grandfather worked as a purchasing manager for the Standard Motor Company before helping Gary Horner, Christian's father, to create an agency which supplied components to motor manufacturers. So they were they knew
but this isn't like F1, this is like street cars, right?
I think so, yeah. Horner was then able to start his racing career as he got a scholarship in 1991. So they did actually see the potential in him. He obviously was quite good at driving. And he was able to compete in the British Formula Renault Championship, and then he was given a seat with Manor Motorsport in 1992 and won that championship that year. So he's doing quite well in it's obviously not Formula One, but motorsport racing. And he then moved on to Formula 3 the next year, placing second place. And after this, he moved from a few teams, but just couldn't secure further victories. However, in 1996, he did compete in the British Formula 2 Championship. So yeah, that's quite cool. I actually never knew he
was a driver.
I didn't know that. I feel like probably a lot of people did, but I
the only reason I knew it was because I think they do, on the occasion, funnel around his picture,
right,
in his little race suit, and I was like, right, okay.
No, I didn't know. It looked like it was a good start in his career, but I just think as time went on, he just couldn't.
It's crazy how many drivers probably have that story.
Yeah.
Like, so many don't actually make it.
Yeah, I know. It's true. But at the age of 25, he took a step back from driving in 1977, and he decided to create his own motor racing team. So with a loan from his father and the bank, he set this up and called it Arden. So he also persuaded P1 Motorsport founder Rolly Vincini, I don't know if I said that correctly, to be his race engineer. It seems like as well at this point when I was doing my research, I was realising that maybe he is very, very good with his words and he knows how to persuade a lot of people to get what he wants. And like he says in the podcast, once he visualises something, he will get it. And even though he didn't get his career as a race driver, he said he still got what he dreamt of being successful in the motorsport industry, and it is what he's done. So this is also a fun fact. So when he was starting up Arden, he managed to get a second-hand trailer, obviously to take him to all the races, but this was gifted to him by a mysterious Austrian man who gave it to him, who he managed to persuade.
Michael Schumacher?
No. Helmut Marko.
Oh my goodness, of course.
I know. And at the time, he was Red Bull's junior team, head of Red Bull's junior team. So this is when he's obviously getting his connections into that whole side of Red Bull. But also when he was setting up Arden, and he was getting a few loans from people to help him race, he did race for the team, but he realised he just wasn't as good as of a driver to drive anymore. So he fully decided to retire at that point and just to solely focus on being the team principal, although he was doing a lot of other jobs at Arden. Also said on the podcast as well that he would watch back cassette tapes of all different races and be so articulate in like looking at every little small detail from what the drivers were wearing on their feet, just to learn how to be successful in Formula One. And I think that eventually did help him, skipping ahead here, but how amazing he has been as Red Bull's team principal and what he's done for them over the years. So I think the way he is and his mind working with being so articulate with everything, I think's really paid off, to be honest. But I want to do a breakdown of Arden from the 1999 to 2005. So if I get any of these names wrong, I'm really sorry. But Victor Maslov and Mark Goossens to compete for the team in the 1999 Formula 3000 season. Goossens was replaced for the 2000 to 2001 season by Darren Manning, who scored 1 pole and 2 podium finishes. The team also competed in the Italian Formula 3000 with Warren Hughes in 2000, where they won 3 races and finished second in the championship. Then again from 2003 to 2004 they secured this championship. By 2005 Christian then was kind of, people from Red Bull were starting to come to him.
Notice him.
Yeah, definitely. And he then, in 2005, moved to Red Bull as their team principal and was the youngest team principal ever to be employed in Formula One.
Damn.
So yeah, and then his dad then took over his racing team and is still racing today. They do British Championships, GP4 Championship and GP3 Championship. Obviously now Christian Horner has been flown out to the Red Bull team, and it was a very, very quick turnaround. So when he arrived at the office, his secretary was crying from literally just losing her old boss.
Who was the old boss?
Not sure. I didn't actually Google that. Maybe I should have. But he literally had just got fired, and then all of a sudden Christian Horner is walking through the door, to the point where there was unopened Christmas cards on his desk and half-drunk coffee cup.
Now that's orcs and that bad management. So they'd already hired Christian Horner before.
And it was like all over the phone as well. It was like, we want him. They saw his potential, clearly. And I think it paid off, to be honest.
Yeah.
So he then was just all of a sudden thrown into a team of 450 people to manage and improve the Red Bull team. So Red Bull at the time, the Austrian energy drink company, purchased the Jaguar F1 team in 2004, and Horner was then appointed just 8 weeks before the start of the season in Australia. The team were able to score 34 points with its drivers David Coulthard and Christian Klein. I don't actually know these names, which was a big jump from Jaguar's 9 points in the previous year. So that quickly he's managed to do well. Horner also recruited Adrian Newey as the team's chief technical officer in 2005.
And that's where it all turned around.
That's where it all happened. A move which has helped the team achieve great success over the last 19 years. Red Bull took its first podium at the 2006 Monaco Grand Prix. In 2007, Red Bull competed with the RB3, the first car designed by Newey. However, the team continued to struggle with reliability issues, including 14 retirements and just 1 podium. But in 2008, the team finished 7th in the Constructors' Championship before finishing 2nd in 2009 with drivers Sebastian Vettel and Mark Webber, which icons, finishing 2nd and 4th respectively. Victory finally came for Red Bull in 2010 when they won their first Constructors' Championship, and Sebastian Vettel also secured the Drivers' Championship, making him the youngest world champion at 23 years and 133 days old. The victories also made Horner the second
exact days.
Yeah. The victories also made Horner the second youngest team principal to win an F1 Constructors' Championship at the age of 36, just behind Colin Chapman, who took the title with Lotus in 1963 at 34 years old. Red Bull Racing took both titles again in 2011, 2012 and 2013,
All
with
with
Vettel
Seb.
also securing such of the Drivers' World Championship among the team's victories. The team did not see championship victory again up until 2021, when Max Verstappen was his maiden Drivers' Championship during an intense battle with Lewis Hamilton in
And
the
we
final
all know
race of the
about that
season.
one.
And also it was a massive deal for Red Bull to bring in Max Verstappen at 18 years old. But again, another amazing risk that Christian Horner has made throughout his career just to succeed. And he
Wasn't
clearly
17,
sees...
Max?
I think he first raced at
17, but he didn't officially join the team at 18.
I think it was 18, but
Okay.
I could be wrong. It might have been 17, but either way, the youngest they've ever had to drive in Formula 1. And even just to see that potential at such a young age and to bring someone with no experience and so young is, well, crazy,
Really
but
good.
it paid off. In 2022 and 2023, Red Bull scored both the Drivers' and Constructors' World Championships, with their driver Max Verstappen and Sergio taking first and second place. Around this time, Horner has also been awarded with an OBE in 2013 and a CBE in 2024 for his services to motorsport. So obviously, as we can see, at this point, he has just made his career and made a name for himself. And that is a breakdown of his career, but I am going to go on to his personal life because it also is very interesting. So he's married currently to Jerry Halliway, and they also have
Ginger Spice.
Yes, and they also have one child together, but they also have each another child with separate partners. So they altogether have 3 children. They met in 2009, but obviously they were at the time both with other people. They just met when she came to the Monaco Grand Prix, and that's when they were first introduced to each other. But nothing came into play until 2013, when we believe there may have been a crossover when Christian's first wife was pregnant with their first child, and him and Jerry got together in 2013 to 2014. So yeah, his wife was pregnant when they got together. But obviously this wasn't known at the time. Around this time as well, when she came again to the Monaco Grand Prix in 2013, which I think started their affair allegedly. Some of the workers said that she was everywhere. Like, she would not leave his side. I put it here. So after the race, Christian was giving an interview and she just wandered into the shot. She wasn't supposed to be there and no one was expecting her, but she was given a microphone and just sort of gate crashed the interview. At this point,
That's so awkward.
Yeah, at this point, his wife would have been 6 months pregnant. She gave birth to her and Horner's daughter, Olivia, in October 2013, though Horner missed the birth because he was at the Japanese Grand Prix. Then in late 2013, when Olivia was only a few months old, Horner and his ex-wife split up, and by March 2014, he was dating Halliway, which... it was very quick. They came public in 2014, but there probably, like I said, was a crossover, and they were married by 2015, which is very quick. They had a lot of backlash from the public. A lot of people called Jerry a homewrecker, and it took them a very long time to rebuild their relationship, and that is what is just so funny now looking back what happened just a couple months ago, which I'm going to go into about their relationship just slightly, but how they spent so many years trying to rebuild their relationship and kind of come over that negative press, and now they're just like back to square one, I'd say. But even his parents didn't go to the wedding, so that really didn't help with the press hating on them, because it just kind of solidified that even his parents don't agree with this relationship. Who was Christian's first marriage? Well, she was Beverly Allen. They met in 1999 and she was a former landlord. They lived in Oxfordshire together, and like I said, they had their first child in 2013. So now I'm going to move on to obviously what we all know that has happened couple months ago now. It's kind of at the start of the season, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So WhatsApp messages between Christian Horner and, we believe, his personal assistant or secretary. WhatsApp messages were leaked. They were quite personal, sexual messages that were being exchanged. It kind of, she said also, the personal assistant, that it was sexual abuse. But Christian Horner has denied this. I do want to make that clear. He's always denied the allegations, but obviously these leaks were literally in Google Docs that were shared for millions and millions to see. I saw them, you saw them. It's quite embarrassing, to be honest. Everyone's saying they could have been faked. We'll never know.
Yeah.
The woman... Yeah.
So I was going to say, but you're probably going to say this, I think Red Bull did an internal investigation themselves, and...
Yes. So they did do an internal investigation, and it has been found that Christian is cleared and all the allegations were dropped. They then suspended the woman on full pay. But yeah, it was a rough start for them at the season, and I think in the CEO podcast, he was saying when something happens to someone up top, the stress, he was kind of digging at Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff, and saying that because when they were losing to Red Bull, how stressed he was getting and how angry he was getting with throwing his headphones on the table, that then trickles down to everyone else on the team and makes the whole team shit, essentially, and stressed, and it's not a good dynamic, not a good work environment. But then I'm kind of, obviously, that when he did that interview, that was 2 years ago, and then I was looking at it from the fact of when they started this season and how it must have been so hard for everyone on the Red Bull team, and how you overcome knowing that your boss has had these allegations made against him. Because at the end of the day, they could do their own internal investigation, but that technically is going to be bias. Well, not technically, it is bias. Like, how can you have an internal investigation about something so serious? It's obviously... And then suspending the woman when the man in question... But look, he's fully denied it, and obviously these allegations have been dropped. They seem to be fine now. He's doing interviews. He was doing interviews the day, the race after, I think it came out, and
Jerry was there.
Jerry was there. She came. They put on a brave face, which fair enough.
Yeah, united front.
Yes. So they seem to be still together, as we know. We don't actually know. But they've had a whirlwind of a relationship. And it's fair to say he's had a whirlwind of a personal life and a work life. But his work life definitely tops it. He has been very successful in his career and is just such an he will be in the history books.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt about that.
He's left a legacy.
He
Strong
has. And it seems to be not great for Red Bull this year, but we'll see. They'll probably still win the...
Losing Helmut Marko is a big one.
Yes, so that obviously happened recently as well. I think Red Bull even sponsored his team. His motor racing team. Yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah, and it obviously helps when you know people, as we realise.
As we know.
And as we do our history episodes, it's the same story over and over again. Daddy was in motorsport, Daddy had this, Daddy had that.
Yeah.
But it's the name of the game. You need to be rich to, unfortunately, be in the industry. They definitely should be doing scholarships for drivers.
Maybe when our podcast is really rich and famous and we've blown up, we can do a scholarship for women in motorsport.
We should.
That'd be sick.
That would be pretty cool. Yeah, me too.
Thank you, Jess. That was really good.
Ooh.
Really in depth. Really good.
Thanks.
He is an entertaining figure.
Yeah. So he obviously blew up a lot from Drive to Survive. That was when everyone... I mean, he's had a lot of hate. A lot of people disliked him because of his personality and the way that he goes about running his team. But then again, you've seen how their team has dominated. So it's kind of like you don't like it, but
he's doing what he's got to do.
He is the best out there, I would say.
Damn.
Team principal.
Don't
and yeah,
say that,
no, I know, but they came out winners.
Yeah.
Still are beating them massively. Wow. Sadly, but in those years, when Mercedes were winning, I bet it was very, very hard on Red Bull. But he said once you win, it's then addictive. You get addicted to the win. But they do baby Max like they did Vettel. I know we love Vettel, but Mark Webber, I think he didn't get treated as well because they did favour Vettel in those times as well. Well, I would say they are favouriting Max.
I was going to say, what?
Over Sergio. But I don't think it's necessarily affecting Sergio as much because he's not performing as well.
Yeah,
so,
he's not doing very well anyway.
Yeah.
That's his own kind of problem.
But anyway, yeah. That's anything you wanted to add about Christian?
No, I think that was really good. Really well-rounded. Really informative.
Yeah, I probably missed some stuff. So if I did, please comment below if you know anything else about him.
I thought I heard somewhere that he worked with Gunther Steiner. So if somebody knows something about that, yeah, that could have been like a TikTok lie. But if somebody knows anything about that, let me know.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah.
All right, and when is the next race, Sammy?
So Vegas, baby.
My God.
On the 23rd.
And what's the date? We've got a while.
Yeah, today is the 4th of November that we're filming this.
Okay, we've got a while then.
Got a while.
Yeah.
20 days.
I can't wait for Vegas, so it's going to be so fun.
It's going to be really good.
Uh-huh.
Yes, Elvis.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks, Jess.
That's all right. Thank you, Sammy. And see you in the next episode.
See you in the next one. Bye.